Hello and welcome back to Real Estate Real Talk. I'm Susan Reddick, and today our special guest is Alger Studstill, and he's a realtor with Century 21 One Blue. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And I also got my girls Devin and Sarah, my 18.
Hey, we here.
We ready to do this thing. Today what we're going to be talking about is what we need to tell our children about real estate. So Alger, let's start with you about the balance between what we should tell our children and the wealth that there is in real estate.
Thank you for that. So I've been with the Department of Children and Families almost 10 years, and I've done it all. I've been an investigator up to a program manager, and even now serving under the Office of the Secretary. And one of the things we often talk about is generational curses. So a grandmother was involved in the system, so then her daughter gets involved, and then their child gets involved. And so I hear so much negativity about generational curses. And for me, my life purpose is empowering people to live out their potential.
Great.
And so I was like, instead of talking about generational curses, why not talk about how we break that generational chain and how we start to really empower people? So one of the quotes I love is, what they see is what they'll be. So if we tell children about real estate, if we talk about investing, then that can be their outcome. That can be their norm. If you talk about the curses and the drugs and the negative environment, then that will be their outcome. And so for me, the importance is really making sure our children are prepared to live in this world.
Absolutely.
So many of I remember being in high school, and I went to a high school in an affluent community. It was public high school, Edgewater. And one of the things was I had classmates who were already they owned a property, or when their parents brought a home, they were on the LLC or the limited liability partnership. And in my mind, I was like, well, how do you own a home in high school?
Yes.
And so what I started to realize was no one tells our kids about home ownership, about real estate wealth, and not just owning the home, but the importance of investing. And so one of my stories, my mom, when we had the bank and they had a Looney Tunes savings account for kids. And I remember when I was able to write my little checks for church, or if I would get money for grades, I would deposit it. But my mom would have a conversation.
Right.
It's not, we're not just putting money in the bank to go buy something, but we're saving for something. What's your goal? What are you saving for? And so every month, every 6 months, I would have to say, okay, for the next 6 months, I'm saving for this.
Right.
And as I got older, that really shaped my mindset on have a purpose behind what you're saving.
Absolutely.
Really understand what real estate wealth is. And so that's kind of been my journey and my push behind it.
Wow. That's interesting. You know what? I grew up in one house.
Okay.
I had one address until I left my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think when you look at or think about children and teaching our community about real estate?
Well, I think it's really important to just involve your kids in everything that you do. I mean, I think they need to understand why you do what you do. And I constantly have conversations, with all of the kids. And I make sure I explain to them that it's important for them to create opportunities for themselves. And real estate is a great avenue to create opportunities for yourself, children. And I've even also talked with my son, because he always tells me, he says, Mom, I've decided that, there's a possibility. He said, I want to be a basketball player, I want to be a boxer, or I want to be an investor. And I said, that's awesome. And I said, I think I'd rather you want to be an investor.
You're right, because you can only play basketball for so long, but you can be an investor and do real estate forever.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And I told him, I said, you know what? If you want to be an investor, I said, you're still going to go to college. I said, but we're going to get you, we're going to put you in real estate school. You're going to stay home. You're going to save money, and you are going to buy your first property. You're going to create an opportunity for yourself. You're going to have income coming in at a young age. So we have to start them out young, and we have to give them guidance.
So Sarah, what do you think your takes on that?
Well, see, for me, I was never educated about a home buying or anything like that. I actually grew up in rentals my whole entire life, so it wasn't until I really got into real estate. And I mean, I had purchased a house with my husband before I got into real estate, but after that is when I got to really have the understanding of what real estate is, right? And home ownership and what comes with that, right? And if your family or your mother and all, like your direct family has never bought a home, then all you know, like you said, all you know is what you've seen, right? So I knew the rental game. I knew that, hey, you want to change rentals every year because they're going to up your rent. I'm like, this is what I knew, right? I didn't know the home ownership.
The best apartment you can get.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I grew up in one home my entire life, so having a home was very important to me. So where do you suggest we start, Alger, as far as teaching our children about the wealth in real estate?
I mean, honestly, it's depending on the age. So even if it's a young child, when you give them that allowance, teach them to save.
Yes.
Teach them that, and if you're thinking about buying a home, let them be a mini investor with you. Let them invest $20. And if it's a rental property, when you get the rent, give them something, give them a return on their investment. But I think also if you know real estate, you have to change the language. Right. So talk to the kids. Don't say multiple single family homes. And, tell them I'm getting a house and we're going to have people that live there. And so instead of saying landlord and tenant, we're giving someone else an opportunity to have a home, but then every month they pay us rent, and then really educate them on how you take that rent and you start to save for the next investment property.
And so that means when they save $40, I can't borrow from them, right? So Devin, this is really important. So you're really you're teaching your son about building this business, right?
Absolutely. And I take him with me. I take him with me to see properties. I take him with me so he can see the before and afters. I take him with me so he can be a part of it, because I want him to learn and I want him to be the best that he can be.
So Devin, like you were saying, you'd like to bring your kids with you.
Yes.
Well, next time we're going to be talking more about the home buying process with children. So make sure you tune in.
All this and more on
Real Estate Real Talk.